So Stacey, I suppose first off, let the listeners know a little bit about you.
So my name is Stacey. I'm from Limerick, Ireland, and I've been singing and songwriting for, well, as long as I can remember, since I was a child. And I suppose I've only recently found the confidence to kind of put myself out there. So that's what I'm aiming to do over the next few years, to see how far I can take the whole music thing.
And you said you've been singing since you can remember. What inspired you to first get into music? Was it someone within your family, or did you like someone within the industry? Was there a singer-songwriter that you loved that kind of got you into it?
Hannah Montana. I was obsessed with Hannah Montana. I was coming home from school and I could not do anything else until I watched Hannah Montana. And it's so funny because even today, Miley Cyrus is still my favourite artist. So I've essentially grown up with Miley Cyrus from like my childhood up to my adulthood. But yeah, Hannah Montana, High School Musical, I was obsessed with Hannah Montana. Convinced myself I was her at one stage, got a wig and everything. Bit crazy. But
I mean, look, we all did that when we were younger.
yeah, I think it's just part of growing up. And yeah, I just loved the music. I loved just, it was her and that whole show that really lit a flame in me for music. And ever since, I've just loved it.
And how would you describe your style of music right now?
I would say definitely pop, but the newer stuff that I'm working on with my producer is definitely still mainly pop, but it's steering away from like everyday pop, if that makes sense. So it has like pop but with a bit of spice.
Is there somebody in specific that you look up to when you're writing and performing your music?
There's not really, like I've had some similarities saying that I have the same kind of vocal tone and style as AJ Mclean. I don't really know if I would compare myself to any other artist. I don't take inspiration when writing music. I literally just find a beat that I vibe well with and then I just sit down and write. Like I can write a whole song in maybe 20 to 30 minutes depending. It just depends if I connect with the beat, it just comes out.
So your little project next year is quite, I wouldn't say easy, but it didn't take that much time, did it?
Well, it did because, well, it's so expensive if you're not represented by a label. It's so expensive, like paying for studio time, especially because I don't know how to do all that on my own. I just write and sing. So that's why it's taken so long. I was doing it over COVID and then obviously all the studios shut down. So it basically prolonged this entire experience. But what happened was I released 3 songs and then after that everything just stopped. So now I'm in the middle of recording 12 songs. So I want to start releasing them in the summer. Obviously I have Dizzy coming out, which is exciting because it's kind of an introduction back into the music scene. But I've recorded 12 songs so that I can kind of keep the momentum going and release one song a month for an entire year.
And you mentioned your track Dizzy. That is one of the reasons we are chatting. Tell us a little bit about it, and is there a story behind it for you?
So Dizzy, actually, we were finishing up a different song which isn't released yet in the studio, and we finished it up on the same day and we had like 4 hours left in the session, so we just were messing around with like beats, and Dizzy was actually written in 45 minutes in the studio because we just had downtime and we said, look, we'll take advantage of it, and we wrote it. The whole album is about, I'm saying album because it's 12 songs, but it's not actually an album because they're being released individually. But the whole, I suppose, discography of it is heartbreak. I wanted to tie Dizzy into being young and naive and in love, and all of your friends are telling you, oh, this isn't it, but you know, nobody, the lights are on, nobody is home, you're not listening to them. You know, you're like, yeah, whatever, and then when it eventually ends, you realise. But yeah, I suppose it's just about being young and naive. That's what I would say Dizzy is probably most likely directed towards.
I know this isn't particularly music related, but tell us a little bit about this TV series that you won in Canada, and you worked alongside a mega name from the Backstreet Boys as well, which is huge.
Listen, that was not on my bucket list, but I'm very happy it happened. I went through a very hard time in school when I was a teenager, and I told my mum, I was like, Mum, listen, I really don't think I'll be able to finish school. Like, my head's not in it. I'm not in a good place mentally. So I said I was going to drop out and go back to college at a later date and finish my Leaving Cert. And I did get around to actually doing that. But in the meantime, I said, well, I'm not in school now and I'm young. Maybe I'll just try and open some doors for myself, because I've always had this dream in just music. And I was willing to take any direction to try and get my music out there. a casting call came up for a TV show called The Fashion Hero, and it's a Canadian-based TV show, and I applied for it because it was like America's Next Top Model, but you didn't need restrictions to go on it. Like, you didn't need to be a certain height, you didn't need to be a certain weight, and the whole message was about breaking down the industry normals when it comes to modeling, and I loved that because it should be role models, right? Not models, it should be role models, and anybody can be a role model. And I went on the show, I think I was 18, nearly 19, I was the youngest contestant to go on, but I went through multiple different casting procedures and eventually got cast and flew out to Canada, and then I won the show, and I was the face of designers campaign based in England called Anna Scholes. She was a plus size designer.
Wow.
And yeah, they asked me to come back to be a mentor on the second season, and AJ Mclean from the Backstreet Boys hosted the second season. So we got to film that in South Africa. And I actually listened to music with him, and I was showing him some of my music. So that was definitely a really cool moment.
I'm actually a little bit baffled. It's quite huge to be working with someone like that. What did he, I suppose, think of your music? What was there any advice that he gave you?
He didn't give me any advice. He said that he was really impressed that I wrote it on my own, because he said that anyone who knows that makes music, they normally have multiple people writing on the tracks. He was really impressed. He told me that I had a very unique voice. Yeah, it was amazing. I'm not sure. I think I'm going back for season 3 as well, which is also hosted by him. So yeah, that is definitely really exciting, and it was so exciting being in a room with somebody who I suppose is essentially living your dream. It was inspiring, and it made me want to come home and just write 20 songs. But no, that was really cool. And getting compliments from somebody who is so used to being in that industry was just incredible. My mum was obsessed with the Backstreet Boys. I had to bring her home a video of him saying hello, of course.
I'd say she was well jealous of you.
She was, but it was a good jealous.
I found you essentially scrolling on my TikTok. Tell us, I suppose, why you think it's important for you as an upcoming artist to use social media to promote your music.
If you're a singer or a songwriter or just an artist, if you don't know how to record and mix and master, like, it does cost a lot of money if you don't have a label behind you. So I think the only way you can actually try and get yourself out there without spending an outrageous amount of money is by taking advantage of social media. Listen, it's not my favourite method of advertising. It's absolute brain rot. But if it's what I have to do to... Because I got this opportunity from you seeing me on TikTok. And if I hadn't posted that video, we wouldn't be having this conversation today, you know?
Yeah.
It's so important because you don't know who's going to see your videos. You don't know who could be scrolling. You could get nothing. You could get somewhere. But I think it's really important that if you have a passion for something, you do the parts that aren't enjoyable, because you reap the rewards if it happens. So I think in today's day and age, you just have to utilize social media. I genuinely don't know any other way to kind of approach that kind of thing other than social media, because I wouldn't even know where to start. So I think it's so important. That's how a lot of Irish artists have kick-started their career. Like Keane DeCrow, who took off on TikTok and who's like a major artist now. Like, there's so many artists coming out of Ireland that are kicking off on TikTok, and I'm really hoping one day I will be one of them. But you never know. You just have to keep trying, and it'll happen or it won't. But that's just the game, I suppose.